Your car did not get old in a single night. It was a slow, quiet fade. One day, the steering felt a little vague. Then the engine lost some of that crisp response it had on the day you brought it home. Everything got louder, harsher, and less refined. And you just adapted to it because that is human nature. You stopped noticing the decline. But deep down, you know it does not feel like it used to. In Germany, they do not accept this. No matter what is on the odometer, they follow a philosophy that aims to keep a car running like it just rolled off the assembly line. For over a century, they've not just been building cars, they've been perfecting the art of keeping them alive. Whether you are driving a vintage classic or a modern daily driver, these techniques are backed by chemistry, engineering, and decades of automotive passion to bring that feeling back. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of why your engine might be struggling, take a moment to subscribe if you want to keep your car running as long as you own it. We are going to break down exactly what makes these machines tick or break. Let us start with the gold standard of what true engineering looks like. The Porsche 993 is the final act of the air-cooled era, and it is a masterpiece. Designed with Hans Mesger's genius, the 3.6-litre engine reached a level of perfection that we rarely see today. This motor is a relic of a golden age, where mechanical durability was the only priority, far beyond emissions regulations or bean counter profit margins. The air-cooled design eliminates the complex web of radiators, hoses, and water pumps that plague modern engines, removing dozens of potential failure points. It uses a dry sump lubrication system, a staple of high-end sports cars, which ensures that oil pressure remains rock solid even when you are pushing the car through extreme cornering forces on a track. Producing 272 horsepower and 243 pounds-feet of torque, this engine delivers performance that is raw, acoustic, and incredibly durable. It is the reminder that simplicity, when executed perfectly, is the ultimate sophistication. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the cautionary tales. Take the Volkswagen 2x engine, used in the T5 and T6 transporter and caravel vans. On paper, this was a technological marvel, squeezing 180 horsepower and over 295 pounds-feet of torque out of a small displacement diesel. But for owners, the CFCA and CXB engine codes became a nightmare of endless service visits. The root cause is the EGR cooler. Over time, the aluminum matrix inside the cooler breaks down chemically, creating tiny particles of aluminum oxide. These mix with your antifreeze to create what is essentially liquid sandpaper. This abrasive slurry is pumped directly into your intake manifold and then into your cylinders. Every time you start the engine, you're essentially pouring fine grit into the combustion chamber. It destroys cylinder walls and ruins piston ring. Drivers notice it when they see a cloud of white smoke in the rearview mirror on cold mornings and find the engine running with a rough, irregular idle. Oil consumption skyrockets, sometimes reaching 1.6 quarts every 600 miles. If you do a compression test, you will find readings around 80 pounds per square inches instead of the healthy 400 pounds per square inch. At that stage, you are looking at a full engine rebuild or a replacement, which can easily cost over $7,500. If you are shopping for a used van, avoid these 180 horsepower by TDI models and stick to the 140 horsepower single turbo versions instead. Now, we are getting to the point where your car's longevity really hangs in the balance, so make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next deep dive into these engine architectures. Speaking of engines you need to be careful with, let us look at the EA111 family, specifically the 1.4-litre twin-charge TSI and 1.6-litre FSI units found in Golf Mark V, Jetta, and Audi A. 3 models built between 2001 and 2008. If you see engine codes BAG, BLF, or BLP, you need to be extremely cautious. These are direct injection engines, which means fuel never washes over the intake valves. Instead, the PCV system dumps oil vapors and exhaust gases onto those valves, where they bake into a thick, rock-hard layer of carbon. This restricts airflow, leading to engine misfires, erratic idling, and sluggish acceleration. The only fix is removing the intake manifold and performing a walnut blasting session to clean each valve by hand. On the 1.4-litre BAG engine, the timing chain is a major weak point. The tensioner fails, the chain stretches, and if you hear a metallic rattle on a cold start, you are on the verge of a catastrophic failure where the valves hit the pistons. On the 1.6-litre BLF and BLP engines, you get massive oil consumption, where adding a quart every 1,000 miles is treated as normal by the manufacturer, which is simply unacceptable engineering. While we are talking about keeping your engine healthy, you should also be vigilant about oil temperature. Most drivers wait for the coolant gauge to reach operating temperature, but oil takes much longer to warm up. If you are hammering your engine the moment the water temp needle hits the middle, you are accelerating wear on your bearings and turbocharger. Wait until your oil temperature is at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit before you push the revs. Your engine will thank you with thousands of extra miles of service life. Now, not every Volkswagen engine is a headache. Look at the 1.8T petrol engine from the mid 90S. It was the perfect bridge between a reliable daily driver and a performance platform. It offered a respectable torque curve thanks to the turbocharger, making it excellent for daily commuting while still being fun to drive. It came in power outputs ranging from 150 to 225 horsepower in models like the Audi TT and Golf 4. It became a favorite for tuners because you could extract significant power without compromising the block's integrity. It proves that with the right design, a small engine can deliver both long life and genuine driving enjoyment. Then there is the EA 888 Gen 3 2.0 TSI, which has been in production since 2013 and powers everything from the Golf GTI to the Audi A4. This is the success story. Volkswagen took the lessons from the disastrous first and second generations, fixed the timing chain tensioner, strengthened the system, and solved the chronic oil burning. It is a robust unit that can easily go 200,000 to 250,000 miles if you maintain it correctly. The exhaust manifold is integrated into the cylinder head to help the engine warm up faster. It is not perfect though. The water pump and thermostat housing are made of plastic and usually fail around 60,000 to 80,000 miles. If you are approaching that mileage, swap them out before they leave you stranded. Also, because of the direct injection, you still need to plan for a walnut blasting for those intake valves around every 60,000 miles. If you stick to high-quality synthetic oil changes every 5,000 to 7,500 miles and replace your ignition coils around 100,000 miles, this engine is arguably one of the best four-cylinder power plants ever made. Before we jump into how to keep your visibility clear and your brakes sharp, if you find these mechanical insights helpful, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you these deep technical dives. Beyond the engine, your suspension bushings are often ignored until they are completely shot. When you go over a bump and hear a clunk or feel the car wander on the highway, it is not just the shocks. Rubber bushings have a lifespan. When they crack and dry rot, they allow the suspension geometry to shift under load, which eats your tires unevenly and destroys the handling precision that your car had when it was new. Inspecting these with a pry bar while the car is on a lift is a simple 5-minute job that saves you hundreds in tire replacements. Now, let us talk about winter driving and visibility. If your windshield fogs up the moment you get in, stop fighting it with your breath. When you get in the car, before you even start the engine, open all 4 windows for 30 to 60 seconds. This is your shock ventilation. You are venting the stale, moisture-laden air that got trapped inside overnight from your damp floor mats and seat. If you do not do this, you are just recirculating that damp air. After that, close the windows and turn on your climate control, but keep the air recirculation mode off. If you leave it on, you are just trapping humidity inside. Set your vents to defrost, turn the heat up to dry the air, and make sure the AC button is on. The air conditioning is not just for cooling, it is a dehumidifier. It pulls moisture out of the air before the heater warms it up and blows it onto the windshield. Manage your moisture sources too. If your floor mats are soaked, they are literally a humidifier sitting at your feet. Shake your shoes off, keep wet umbrellas in the trunk, and if you have a hot coffee, put a lid on it, because that steam will fog your glass in seconds. Finally, your brakes. If they are squeaking or feeling spongy, they might just be dirty. The caliper brackets often accumulate a layer of brake dust, rust, and old, dried-up grease. This prevents the brake pads from sliding smoothly, causing them to vibrate or sit at an angle, which leads to that annoying squeal. To fix this, remove the pads and use a high-quality brake cleaner spray. Soak both the front and back of the rotors, but let it dry completely. Do not wipe it off, as it is designed to evaporate and lift contaminants. Then, grab a stiff wire brush and attack the caliper bracket. Every channel, every surface, and every corner needs to be scrubbed clean of that buildup. Apply a very light coat of high-temperature brake grease only where the pad tabs contact the metal, and you will be amazed at how much firmer and quieter your pedal feels. Keeping a car running perfectly is not about magic. It is about attention to detail. It is about understanding that your car is a machine that requires a partnership between driver and engineer. If you have been dealing with a weird engine noise, a recurring fault code, or you just want to know if your specific engine is a lemon or a legend, drop a comment below with your car's model and mileage. I read as many as I can, and it helps everyone else in the community avoid common pitfalls. Thanks for hanging out in the garage with me today, and if you want more deep dives like this, make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next one.